Let's take a roller coaster ride with Nikki.
In Secret Weapons number 0.
You are now watching WhoDooTV.
Welcome to WhoDooTV. I'm Jared.
And I'm Hoosier.
Today we are talking about Secret Weapons number 0, Nikki Finch's story. And this is quite the story that she's got going on.
Right. This is a great book, again by Eric Heisserer writing it, but we get Adam Pollina doing the art and David Barron doing the colors. And this is a very set way of doing the book. It is 4 panels, all the same, page after page, each kind of showing a day in the life of Nikki. And it is a really cool story that we may spoil a little bit. So if you haven't read this book, you're going to want to read this book because it is going to tie into a lot of things that's going to be ongoing with Valiant. So pause it, come back, read this book, and then come join the chat.
Yeah. At its surface, this book is... it's not any more surprising than what you'd expect would happen. She's someone that got contacted by the Harbinger Foundation. She goes in to get activated. We know that she finds out that she doesn't have the greatest of powers. She gets thrown into the Willows. And then this data breach happens. And it's a lot of the history that we've already gotten to kind of understand where she's coming from within the Secret Weapons mini story there. But getting into more of her mindset and where she's at with this, and also just appreciating the artwork that goes into this. This book is actually pretty incredible.
Right, it's really good. And what a challenge for the art team to be doing basically the same set picture of Nikki basically as the focal point in each setting and having to reproduce that 90 something panels of this, of doing a year of Nikki. We get a lot of really cool pieces of Nikki where we see some of her thoughts and what her hopes and dreams are as a normal child, a normal teenager, living life. And then she's told that, you know, hey, you used to be a great gymnast and we want you to come get this scholarship and we're also going to give you these superpowers. And they like build up this girl's hopes and, you know, give it the Harbinger Foundation wants it to happen too. And she just falls flat on her face, right? Oh my God, I have these bird powers. And her head is like, off to the Willows, get out of here. I don't think that's really cool. But it was cool seeing the activation process and then also seeing the discovery process of how you were supposed to find your powers. Like, it was like, you know, here, just jump out of this plane, maybe you'll fly.
Yeah, get into the ring with this fighter and see if you can manifest something to beat her. Or, yeah, it's totally this crazy thing that they put these people through. And it's actually something that we didn't get to see, especially with like Peter as he's picked up to the Harbinger Foundation,
right?
Or even Faith, you know, she kind of just like fell into finding her power, so they didn't really have to, you know, put her through these tests. So for the average person who's activated, I mean, how can you call someone activated average? But it's you get to see kind of like what is the program.
Right. I mean, Pete was automatically, and he's one of the few that was born activated. And then, yeah, like you said, Faith, when she got activated, how she kind of saved Pete jumping out of the building and figured out she could fly. Then we go back to Harbinger Renegades number 4, where Jay got activated, and then we went through that whole massacre arc, and we still don't know what Jay's powers are. So it may be a process sometimes, and it kind of it's consistent, right? And then when some powers are there, they're more of a kind of like a backup power. Like Pete can always read minds, and he doesn't have to have anything happen. And then you have when he's really doing something, like I'm intending to do it. And so sometimes there may be that with the bird speech.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I think, I mean, I just really appreciated just delving into what it would be like as somebody who goes through this, who gets told that she has the potential for superpowers, and it gets this whole situation just chalked up to her. This is this big moment. She's really excited about it. And like, man, I could fly. I could, do all these things. I mean, put yourself in her shoes,
Right. And I was thinking of that, like, how could that relate to something I would do or that's more grounded? And I thought of like somebody who was applying for a movie role or something, and they got casted to have like a line, right? They were going to speak a line in a movie, which would be a big deal if you're just, this Joe, and you got a job to be in a movie with Tom Hanks, and you were going to give a line, Excelsior, right? And to figure out that it got cut, it got edited out.
Yeah.
Like, that would be pretty heartbreaking. Like, cool, I got a line in this movie. It got cut in post. Sorry, you're not in the movie.
Yeah, I got to be a part of this team to bring something together, but it doesn't actually come out in that way.
Right. I mean, your hopes would be up and you're ready for it.
Totally.
It hits the theater and you get there and you watch it and it's like, it wasn't in there.
Yeah. And that's exactly what what Nikki went through. And you can see just how hard it was for her. And I mean, everything kind of falls apart from there. The data breach happens, and they have to run. She runs away for safety,
Right.
really, and tries to go home.
And this is where I got a question, and to kind of put some stuff together, some context. You got the original Harbinger run, and you have Pete and his friend Joe, and Joe was that connection to Pete, right? That other not Harbinger, not psiot connection. And we saw what ultimately ended up happening to Joe. Harada killed him. Right? What do you think, or do you think it's possible Harada did something to this family to kind of sever that connection to make sure she's with the cult of Harbinger?
Yeah, that's a real concern, actually. And I didn't even think about that. I almost wonder, I mean, for someone who can just talk to birds, is she as big of a threat as Peter?
Right.
Or is this something that he does to everybody?
That was my thought. As somebody who gets into the Harbinger Foundation, do you do that separation? Do you separate them to where they can't go back and they need you and that's their family now?
Wow.
And, right? It is that piece. It's the question I have. Because, like you said, she doesn't have these big powers that are going to be like, oh man, we have to have her. We need to make sure she's with us. But also makes you wonder, hey, you have the bird power. Have them talk to each other and figure out what your parents are.
Yeah. And you might be actually right on that, because where does she go after she finds out that her parents aren't living in the house that she grew up in anymore?
She goes back to the Willows and she's looking for her friend Owen.
Yep.
And then it ties us in so very, very, very well to go right back into where Secret Weapons 1 started. Wow.
Yeah. This was an excellent book. There was a moment in there I want to bring up. It's a whole page. Usually in each panel we got a different location, but there's a whole page where she's sitting on this ledge. And you're kind of wondering, like, is she just like taking it in? And it starts to sink in that, she's got some really dark thoughts going on right now. And she doesn't say anything in this. There's no internal dialogue. There's no, actual just speech bubbles, except for the birds,
right?
And the birds are coming around and they're consoling her. And I mean, it really hit hard in the heart when this was the last panel there. He just says, don't do it. Like, you can't fly like us. And it was like, wow, like that was really just an emotional moment.
But then you get built back up, right? The roller coaster of Nikki.
Yes.
So when she falls and Owen's there to pick her up.
Yes.
And she gets to reunite with Owen. And it does kind of validate those statements you had in number 4 of their love interest that you kind of mentioned in number 4, that there is some connection there. There is more there than what was initially in 1, 2, and 3, but it's there. And it was cool to see her joy of having her friends back, or her friend there with Owen.
Yeah.
And yeah, one of the cool pieces that we have evidence to believe on day 13 in the Willows, her roommate may be playing a role in Harbinger Wars 2.
Yes.
And that's just a little breadcrumb we want to give you guys to go look that up. Harbinger Wars 2, day 13, Nikki's Roommate.
Yeah, that's a pretty cool thing. I think that's a really neat thing that they're peppering in. And it was just a small thing. I mean, it was just another day for her. And I'm really curious. I mean, Heisserer is doing some really interesting work, and I wonder if we're not going to see, once Harbinger Wars 2 is over and his run on that, if we're not going to see some stuff sprinkled in there in this book or in the rest of the secret weapons or anything like that. I think what he just did in that moment was pretty cool.
Right. I am wanting to already go reread Secret Weapons again. And then we got Owen's story coming soon, and I'm going to want to reread Secret Weapons this issue, and then Owen's story again, and then see what happens with Harbinger Wars 2. From what we know, it is going to be pretty included into that story and very much a vital piece of it. And Heisserer did it again. This is a phenomenal book and a very cool way to tell the story.
Yes. I think this one, I would definitely give this one probably a 4.5. I think the whole team on this really brought their A game. Adam Pollina really showed himself as a great artist, as someone that I guess cares about his work. I appreciated he would maintain certain poses that Nikki was in panel to panel, which I thought was really interesting. But just keeping her in that moment and making the story be told around her, that was really fascinating. I think David Barron just really brought it too. Bridging this story to the Secret Weapons mini series that we had, he totally captured all of Patricia Martin's color palette and used it so well. And I thought it definitely came out that way, that this is still a part of that, and it's not something different. He didn't try anything special with it. And then Eric Heisserer's work on this, his writing, he is talented, and I think Valiant has a great asset on their hands through him.
Agreed. Heisserer does it, right? He knows how to write, and he does it very well. And you are connected, right, with Nikki. There is this connection of who she is, and it makes you enjoy her and her character and feel for her and want to see her do well. Like, you do get all of that in this book. And Pollina, Adam Pollina's art is great in this. He had a difficult job for him to do, to set these same images, similar poses in each book, right? To make it look like the same character. I mean, to be so detailed. And like you said, Barron is very adaptive into what he does with his colors. And this doesn't say anything less of those two, but Patricia Martin and Raul Allen are just such a combination that I kind of missed them in this issue. And that will be my only 2.5 deduction, for no other reason than I really like the way they've worked together, and that they're going to be doing Owen's story 0. I'm going to give this 4.75. I can't wait for what's to happen again. I think this is a great book, and Secret Weapons is one of the top books of 2017. One of the very top books of Valiant to date.
So I think I got a question for you guys that's a bit more speculative. So we know Nikki's story. We know where she's coming from. We've got Owen coming up soon. How do you think his story is going to be different than hers? Write down in the comments below and let us know what you think. Hey, if you like this video, be sure to hit the like button below.
There's also that subscribe button down there too. Make sure you punch that. We'd appreciate it. Follow us at Twitter at WhoDooTV, also on Facebook.
Yeah, and we'd like to thank our friends over at OutrightGeekery.com. Be sure to check them out. They got all sorts of nerdy stuff on there.
Links down in the description. Thank you for watching WhoDooTV. We appreciate you guys.